and I'm a lawyer at the Immigration and Real Estate Department at CAIADOGUERREIRO. This is my colleague Barbara Monteiro Garcia, who works in the same department. We want to thank you all for your interest in this presentation and for your participation. We will do a brief presentation of the law firm firstly, then talk about the golden visa and the importance of a due diligence to the properties, if that's the investment vehicle to the golden visa. We will leave some time at the end to address eventual questions that you may have for us. Nevertheless, you can always use the chat to put your questions, and we'll try to answer them during the presentation. If not, at the end, we will address them. So, first, let me introduce you to CAIADOGUERREIRO. We are one of the top 10 Portuguese law firms. We are a multi-jurisdictional law firm working in all areas of the law. So we have the real estate and immigration department where I'm currently working. Then we also have a huge tax department, corporate and M&A, litigation and arbitration, family law, healthcare and insurances law. So we can assist, we like to call ourselves as a one-stop shop, and we can assist all clients in all the matters connected to the Portuguese jurisdiction. We work both with companies and private clients, so we are very used to address both of the type of clients. Currently, the Immigration and Real Estate Department, it was created almost 11 years ago, especially to deal with the golden visa and other immigration programs, and then we kind of divided to address multiple issues regarding the acquisition of properties in Portugal. We work 7 days per week to assist our clients in all of these matters. Currently, we are 14 bilingual lawyers, so we all speak both Portuguese and English, and then we can also assist the clients in Spanish, French, Italian, German, Polish, Russian, and Mandarin languages. So far, we have obtained almost 3,000 golden visas already granted, so we have around 1/3 of the market. And we also advise the clients in obtaining the other immigration programs as the D2, D7 visas, and in all process of acquisition of Portuguese nationality. The main office is in Lisbon, is in city center, where we are currently in. Then we have also offices in Oporto and in Faro, internationally connections with all the Portuguese-speaking countries, and permanent lawyers based in Malta and in Beijing. Fortunately, and due to our hard work, we have been given awards and recognitions by Chambers and Partners and Legal 500 in multiple areas. So we are internationally very well ranked and in position to assist the clients immediately and with great professionalism in all areas. My colleague Barbara will explain you a little bit of the golden visa. So this is very, it's a brief presentation. And later on, I will continue to explain the importance and relevance of a due diligence.
Hi, I'm now going to present the Golden Visa Program. And first of all, it was established in 2012. It's a program that will grant third countries national temporary residence permits through an investment activity in Portugal. This investment allows to enter in Portugal without a residence visa. You can also live here, study and work in Portugal, or just stay here 7 days per year. You can circulate in Schengen area without a visa, and you can also benefit from family reunification. You can reunify your spouse, your children, your parents, or your parents-in-law. You can also apply after 5 years to a permanent residence or to a Portuguese nationality. But in both cases, you will need to speak a little bit of Portuguese. The most frequent investment option. In this case, we have normally the capital transfer of 1 million You can also invest in the fund or in the capital fund of the minimum investment is 350,000 euros, and you can acquire a real estate or you can acquire any property for 500,000 euros or more, or you can also invest in a minimum invest to 350,000 with a construction area completed at least 30 years ago or located in the urban rehabilitation area. In both cases, we'll need rehabilitation works. Regarding the first one, the capital transfer of 1 million, you can also deposit this capital in a bank account of an authorized or registered credit institution in Portugal, or acquisition of public debt instruments of the Portuguese state, in particular debt securities, savings certificates, or treasury certificates, or you can also purchase of shares of a Portuguese private or public company. In case you invest in the fund, you have two types of possible funds. You can also invest in the fund, and you can invest in the venture capital fund. In both cases, you'll need to be dedicated to business capitalization, and the maturity must be at least of 5 years. And it has to be at least 60% of the investment is made in commercial companies with head office in Portugal. Regarding the real estate, in this case of 500, you can acquire any type of real estate. You can also acquire it in co-ownership, but both parts need to apply for an amount equal or superior to 500,000 euros. In this case, you can give it to rent, exploration for commercial, agriculture, tourist purposes, and in this case, you can submit the application with just a promissory agreement. Like I explained before, in the real estate acquisition, the construction has to be completed for at least 30 years ago, or has to be located in the urban rehabilitation area. In both cases, they will need rehabilitation works. Like I said before, it is a possibility to submit your application just with a promissory agreement. You just have to pay a fee first. The changes. The Golden Visa will change in January of 2022. In these cases, the capital transfer of 1 million that we talked about before will be for 1,050,000 euros. And regarding the investment in the investment fund or capital fund of 350 or more, it will be necessary to invest the minimum investment of 500,000 euros. In case of the real estate, of 500, and in the acquisition of real estate with construction complete at least 30 years ago or located in the urban rehabilitation area, the minimum investment is normally reduced to 350, but it will be only for residential properties located in Azores and Madeira, or if you want, in inland territories. The last changes will be residential properties will no longer qualify in Lisbon, in Porto, among most of the coasts. And regarding the commercial real estate, such as investment in hotels and some types of tourist apartments, will still qualify, just like any type of property in the rest of the country. Regarding the next changes, and we are very close to the end of the year. It's very important once we invest or we think to invest in real estate properties. It's very important to do the due diligence to the house if you choose the real estate investments. The golden visa, you have for the golden visa, you will need first to choose your investment options. It's the first thing that you have to do. The first thing, you have to open a bank account. You will need a taxpayer number that we can request for you. After we have all the documents, it depends if you choose the investments in the funds or in the real estate. In the fund, we will require some declarations of the fund and the bank. And in the real estate, we need other documents like the promissory agreement or the public deeds, will depend. And after, we will submit this process in the application online that has, and after we will receive your golden visa approval. Why Portugal? I think the most things that I have already explained, but I will explain a little bit better. I think it's very important because you can, if you want to reunify your family, you can also reunify your adult children. They will only need to be single and studying. They will need to be financially dependent of you, as well as you can also reunify your parents or your spouse parents. You can also make an investment through a Portuguese limited liability company, which can be found in the single day. You only need to pay to put in the company €1, the capital from €1. And you can also, there are a possibility the first to start the application just with a promissory agreement when you are under the real estate investment option, which allows the personalization of the investments, since the investment can choose a property under construction and he can adapt it to his or her interests and needs. And the golden visa allows you to the first step of the Portuguese nationality application. You only need to have the A2. And the golden visa program allows you just to stay in Portugal 7 days per year. Now my colleagues are going to talk a little bit about the real estate due diligence. So thank you.
Sorry, I believe my macro was not off. It was off. Yeah. So as I was saying, the due diligence, it's a concept that begins with the analysis of all the property documents from a legal perspective to check out the conditions of the property, any encumbrances that may be registered on the property, and that will affect the golden visa, of course. The evaluation of the contingencies of the deal, and the existence of agreements in force that are not affected with the property transmission, such as rental agreements and other kinds of rights that may be registered on the property. So what we do is to check all the property documents, and at the end we will draft a report that will inform the potential buyer regarding all the contingencies of the deal and if the property is eligible or not for the golden visa. Why is this so important? Because nowadays we see that our property is being promoted by honest real estate promoters and by platforms online, and sometimes they just promote the facts that are given by the sellers, and that needs to be checked with the property documents to see if everything is okay with the deal. The due diligence will also include the analysis of the seller's documents to check if there are any debts to the tax authorities that may put in risk the issuance of the documents to pay the taxes at the moment of the public deed. If they are a real and solid company, that it's in principle honest enough to receive the payments given as the down payment by the buyers. And to check if there are any enforcement proceedings that may affect the property between the reservation timings and the public deeds timings, to see if there are judicial or enforcement proceedings in course that involve the developers. So we identified the main characteristics of the transaction, the real estate, the conditions. We highlight the relevant information regarding all of the above-mentioned points, the identification of legal risks associated regardless of the golden visa, and then legal risks that are connected with the golden visa requirements. How to implement measures to minimize or eliminate the risks we identified, and this can be done through the clauses in the promissory agreements or in the negotiation terms with the developers, and to determine the best conditions to structure the transaction for the client that makes these investments eligible for the golden visa, or regardless of the immigration point of view, that will make the transaction safer to the client. Regarding the golden visa itself and the real estate eligible for it, as my colleague Barbara was saying, from January on, this will change nowadays, and that allows a submission of the process until December. It is still possible to acquire a property or properties whose amount combined is equal or superior to 500,000 euros. And in this case, we need to check, so besides the legal documents of the property, the payment terms to make sure that all the payment passes primarily through a Portuguese bank account. If this is not the case, that at least we have obliged the developer to give us the bank declaration stating that he has received some of the property price from outside of Portugal, because that's a document we will need later on to the immigration services, to check if there are anything registered in the property, like a mortgage, a seizure, a rental agreement, because the rental agreements with more than 6 years, they need to be registered. So if that's the case, if there are any rights given to third parties, such as to use the property regardless of the ownership itself. So we need to check all of these in order to make it eligible for the golden visa. In what concerns the 350,000 investment, and this is the property price combined with the rehabilitation works price. Okay, we need to make sure that it's a property with over 30 years, it's located in a rehabilitation area. We need to make sure that the contractor, because we need to have the property documents, and then we need to have the agreement with the construction, with a licensed constructor. So we need to make sure that the constructor that will perform the works is licensed, and that the property itself does not have any of the items I have been discussing, in order to make it eligible for the golden visa. It is possible, and I know some of the questions are related to these. So in either these two investment possibilities, and whenever the investment is done in areas with a low density of population, the law foresees a 20% discount, so it passes on to 400,000 or to 280. In this case, it's very important to access the property address and to know if it is located in one of these areas. Otherwise, you may enter into an investment like this, and then it's not eligible for the golden visa. But regardless of the eligibility for the golden visa, you are under Portuguese law obliged with the developer, if under a promissory agreement, to purchase that property. So it's very important to do the due diligence on the properties first. So as I was saying, for the property of 500,000, current qualification for golden visa, it's any type of property. So it can be a shop, an office, a land, an apartment, or a villa. It can be acquired in co-ownership. The minimum investment per investor is 500,000, but you can buy a 1 million property together with the other person, and both of you will be eligible for the golden visa. After that, you can rent out the property or make it like a short rental location. And there is the possibility, and I think many clients nowadays, and due to the timings and the timing pressure, they have this question. It is possible to submit everything by December, okay? It will, of course, be contingent on how fast can the client open the bank account, how fast can the client get the personal documents besides the investment, which will be the criminal records, marriage certificates, birth certificates. But it is still possible, and we can do the submission in the immigration services only with the promissory agreement, as long as the down payment or the investment is already done. So the down payment needs to be equal or superior to 500,000. In cases like this, when you are paying 500,000 and you don't acquire the ownership, you only have the promise of acquisition, okay, it is even more important to do a due diligence to make sure that you are not passing on 500,000 to a developer that then they will not be able to fulfill the promise. And besides, you have a civil issue with the property acquisition, you will also have an immigration issue, because by the time of the renewal, you need to submit the public deed. Regarding the property acquisition of 250,000, and besides the other things, so the summary is the same as the other one. Construction completed over 30 years ago, located in a rehabilitation area, and rehabilitation works carried out. So we need to access. Sorry, it's just a phone ringing. Sorry. Ok. Deixa eu ligar esse telefone, pelo amor de Deus. Property acquisition for 280. So it's the same thing for the property acquisition of 350, but it needs to be located in a low population density area. It's eligible for the golden visa. Of course, part of our due diligence work is to make sure that these properties are eligible. So when you contacted us, you'll give us the developers information, and we will coordinate with them in order to make the due diligence and to see if it's eligible for these purposes or not. Here we have a summary of the documents we will request the developers to deliver to us. If they don't do it, what we will do in the report is to mention that we did not have the opportunity to check that information, if it's relevant or not to continue with the deal, but mainly is identification documents of the developers, of the companies, so we can check the person who binds the company. And if the person who has been negotiating with you is the person that binds the company from a law perspective. A draft of the promissory agreement, bilingual, all for foreign clients. We can draft it, or we can review a promissory agreement already drafted and make our comments and suggestions with clauses that may minimize the risks of the deal or help protect the client's interests. The offer in energetic certificate, which is mandatory by law, the technical report, floor plans, license of use, non-declaration debts to Social Security and tax authorities, the indication of any works that may have been done to the property after the license of use was issued to check if that specific work was subject to a license from the municipality, if this license was granted or not, or if it was not subject to license at all. The certificates updated documents of the property and of the tax authorities. Other things to bear in mind with this kind of deal, which are if they are renting, if it's registered in a local accommodation, if it is already registered and with a license, if it can be registered in the future, because nowadays in Lisbon there are many parts of the city where it is not possible to register new local accommodations. List of equipment to see if there are any guarantees from the manufacturers that are still applicable. List of the furniture that may be in the property. Condominium codes, condominium administrator, condominium regulations to see what the future sellers will be subject to. Last minutes of the condominium meetings. Declaration of non-debt to condominiums, because according to Portuguese law, these debts can pass on to the buyers. License from the broker, and other elements that may be relevant according to the exact terms and conditions of the deal. There is some things I want to highlight before we finish the presentation, which is we usually advise the clients to make the due diligence even before the reservation agreement, and that's because if you are under a promissory agreement, the Portuguese law foresees some compensations and the rules if one of the parties gave up on the deal. And the reservation agreements, that's not the case. So if the reservation agreement, which is not the case for many of the drafts that the real estate brokers use, if it is in the reservation agreement that the potential buyer has the right to give up on the deal and request the reservation amount back, if you communicate this within 15, 30, 60 days, it is one thing and you have the right to demand the money back. If it's not, a reservation is not considered to be returned. And we have some court's decisions regarding this that states this. So we always advise the clients to do this prior to the reservation. If you don't do this prior to the reservation, at least do it prior to the promissory agreement and the actual acquisition, so you may be aware of all the risks and we may protect the client's interests under the promissory agreements. I know I have some pending questions in the chats that I would like to address. In the meantime, please, if you do have questions for us, please put that in the chat so we may address them now. If not, and you want to contact us in another time, we'll be happy to do a conference call to clarify any doubts. These are our emails, okay? So please feel free to contact us. We'll be delighted to assist. And I will check now all of the questions. So do we help our clients with connections to real estate agents, developers, and investment options? That's yes. We provide lists of people that have been working with us with previous clients, okay? So equity funds contacts, real estate agents contacts, developers, projects that we have done due diligence regarding other clients, and we will be happy to share these contacts with you. And after we share the contacts, you may address them directly and clarify all your doubts. So if our firm offers the service of escrow account to receive the funds for the acquisition process, okay, we know it is very, I don't know if you are from the UK, it is done usually in the UK that the lawyers receive the payments to later pay on to the developers. Our financial department does this in specific situations. So yes, if that's a question, we will do it. We will not do it if That's the case for the golden visa, because then the payment to be done to the developer needs to pass through a Portuguese bank account in the name of the investor. So if it's a golden visa query, we will not do it because we need to comply with the legal requirements, and this means that the money needs to pass on by the Portuguese account of the developers. Can the process be initiated only by husband and wife, later include the other family members? Yes. And regarding the timings that we are currently dealing with, the person that needs to be submitted in order to the current law to be applicable is the investor. Okay, so if there's any issue with having marriage certificates and birth certificates, please note that all family members may be maybe join the application later on and anytime during the 5 years. Of course, the deadlines that are counting for citizenship will then be different for the different members of the family. If we have our developer, can we have your legal advice only, or are we forced to deal with your real estate? We do not have connections with any real estate broker. Okay, so if you already have a developer, you can use us and our services to better protect your interests. Okay, we will not invite people for a deal. Okay, so the clients came to us, either asked us for contacts, and then they will explore those contacts and contact us later when they have a deal. Or if you already have a developer, we can assist you in the real estate acquisition and due diligence on the property, and we will not invite anyone to the deal. Regarding our fees for the golden visa, and people that want to know that, we'll be happy to send you an engagement letter with all the explanation and the documents by email. So please, Ms. Shelley, do contact us by email so we can have your registry and send you the formal engagement letter and have a call to better know you and introduce the program. Regarding so what banks in Portugal do you open accounts for the investments for clients? It is possible with any bank. If for US citizens, okay, it is mandatory that the bank will comply with the FATCA regulations. So make sure the bank does this whenever you are dealing with investments in equity funds. Okay, if it's a real estate, no need to comply with the FATCA. If it's for equity funds, it needs to comply. We work with all the banks, so Santander, Novo Banco, Bison Bank, Millennium BCP, and many others. So we do not have preferable banks to work with. If people that have not been able to comply with the 2-week stay, all the cards are valid until December 31st, but this is a question of renewals. The current golden visa will not be affected. Okay, the current golden visa is for changes for new applications. So if you are asking me this question, is because you are already in a renewal stage, and in such case you don't need to worry about the end of the year or January, because it will not affect your application. How long did it take them to get passports? Did they have to reside in Portugal? So according to the golden visa, no, you only need to stay in Portugal for 7 days in the first year and 14 days in periods of 2 years consecutive. After the 5 years of a legal residence permit, you can qualify to the citizenship, and you do not need to reside in Portugal. After the citizenship application, it's around 1.5 years until you have it granted. In the banks, which is a reasonable time frame to open the account? Okay, this is it's an interesting question. Usually, okay, the banks we work and the contacts we use, they open the bank accounts within a week, 1 week and a half. This will be contingent on the client. Why? Because first we need a taxpayer number, Portuguese one. So after we draft our legal package, we make contact with the tax representatives to issue the taxpayer number. But of course, from our first contact with the clients until the clients provide us all the documents we need for the taxpayer number and to draft a legal package, it depends on clients. I have clients that do these from one day to another, others take 2 weeks. And besides this, regardless of the bank itself, of course, the bank will require some documents from a compliance point of view. So it will depend on how fast can the client provide the bank account with and the bank manager with this information. How many of our clients have already received Portuguese passports via Golden Visa? Okay, so we have few applications regarding previous clients from Golden Visa to Portuguese citizenship, and this is based on two things. First, the program in the past, it would demand 5 years of temporary residence, permanent residence, and then citizenship. Later on, it was changed, and now it allows from the Golden Visa itself to pass on directly to citizenship. We have many Chinese clients from the beginning of the program, and China does not allow them to have two citizenships. So most of our clients are choosing to renew the Golden Visa or pass on to a permanent one. The ones that apply directly to citizenship, so if they comply with all requirements, we have a few approved and the other applications are still pending. Still, there is price application from now till the end. Well, it is possible to still acquire properties and to complete the application and the submission online within this year, given then if you cannot perform a public deed due to the real estate contingencies or developers or negotiations or whatever, the promissory agreement needs to have at least the total amount of the investment already paid. And it is possible if we start the process right away and if we have the documents of the real estate and the personal documents of the investor, criminal record, and duly legalized and apostilled, and the other documents. For the clients that thinks that they would like to have more time to choose a real estate or come to Portugal to visit the real estates themselves and to acquire them, which we totally understand. And if you want to take the chance for the Golden Visa within the current rules, what we are advising is to check other ways of investment, such as the investment funds, because the process itself, it's much faster. It does not involve much negotiation with the developer, the signing of agreements, and the submission would be smoothly. I don't know if you have other questions. If not, please feel free to contact us to search for more information. We'll be delighted to assist. And thank you once again for your participation and interest in our presentation.